What's good, everybody? This is Bryan Mazik, aka Franchise Play, of course. And before we get into the questions, I got this message for you. I've been giving it to you a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but the Ask FP is moving on March the 1st. So nobody who hasn't heard this announcement as of yet, nobody panic. I'm still doing Ask FP the same days. You guys still participate in the same way by hitting me up on Twitter at the Twitter handle that's at the bottom right corner of the screen right now. But I did start a new channel that's going to be dedicated to all real sports. So Ask FP, my fight recaps, some other things that I do in regards to regular sports are going to be on that channel. So click that link right there on your screen to subscribe to the new channel. I would appreciate it. But let's jump in to the question of the week. And it comes from my man Jared Young, the most prolific question of the week provider, I think. I don't have an official stat on that, but he gets them a lot. Jared Young says, who should be on the cover of NBA 2K17? We already thinking about 2K17. Look at that. I got a wish list coming for 2K17 coming up shortly, so y'all be on the lookout for that. But for me, man, if it's a single player, people might be a little bit bored with this, but it's got to be Steph, don't it? I mean, if it's a single player, it's got to be Steph. If you're going three players, I know Steph was on there this time, but I think Steph's probably got to be on there again. I like Karl-Anthony Towns to be on there as well. Or maybe you do a dual cover, something you never had, just two guys on the cover, and you become Steph and LeBron. I would think that would be pretty slick as well. So I don't know. Those would be my choices. Just depends on how they approach it. Victor Daniel Torres says, in your opinion, was it too early for the Knicks to fire Derek Fisher a year and a half? Well, I don't know. It really depends on the situation. This particular situation, I'm going to say it wasn't too early, because I actually believe that this firing had to do a little bit more than just basketball. I don't think they really dug the whole thing with Fisher getting caught up with in some off the court type of situations with Matt Barnes' wife, and maybe there may have been some other stuff. So they may have felt that it was unprofessional behavior, and he just wasn't, conducting himself as a leader. So he'll learn from that, and he'll probably get another opportunity somewhere down the line. You guys don't forget to leave me a like on this video, please. And so we'll see. Vince Delgado says, with the sudden retirement of Daniel Bryan, what does this mean for WWE going forward? Where does Daniel go from here? Well, Daniel's going to get a job probably as some sort of commentator, something like that, involved in the WWE if he wants one. I'd have to believe that's the case. As far as the WWE, I think that it showed if we can believe what was being reported, that they were right in trying to keep him out of the ring, because their doctors showed something that was actually truly scary and potentially harmful for him moving forward. And I hope that he takes care of himself and doesn't put himself in any type of harm's way. And I hope that the problems that he has doesn't get any worse. I've had the opportunity to talk to or meet Daniel Bryan on 2 occasions, and he is a super nice guy. I mean, like, not even like real, it's crazy. He's a really nice dude. So I wish him nothing but the best. God bless him and his health and his family. Thompson, Denmark. I know this is your first, and I appreciate you participating in Ask FP. He says, who would win a fight in light heavyweight, Prime Anderson Silva or Prime John Jones? For me, this is easy. I think John Jones wins easy. Light heavyweight, first of all, that's his weight class. You'd be asking Anderson Silva to come up. As great as Anderson Silva is, I just don't think against an athlete with the size and the length that John Jones has, I don't think Anderson Silva's striking plays the same type of role as it would against most of his other opponents. I think John handles them. And I actually don't even think it's going to be close, to be honest. Ty Bud says, Jones versus Cormier 2. What are your predictions? I predict that John beats him even easier the second time. I really do. I just think John Jones is the greatest martial artist ever, period. And the only way I can see him having an issue is something with his training. Cormier did mention something about he felt that the muscle mass would hurt John. If it doesn't, he's gonna hurt Cormier. You might as well just take that one to the bank. Ty Boyd also says the Heat are to retire number 32 for Shaq. I had to check the date and make sure it wasn't April 1st. What's your thoughts? Well, I do think it's a pretty strange number retirement, Ty. I do. I must admit, Shaq did not do a great deal with Miami. Yes, he was on the team when they won the NBA championship. But I think pretty much all of us remember in the postseason, especially in the NBA Finals against Dallas, Dwayne Wade carried that team. Now, but we can't forget about what Shaq did in the regular season. He was very good in the regular season. I think it was 20-10. He had a couple years like that with the Heat. So he had a good little run, but that's just the thing. It was a little run. So I don't know. It's definitely one of the stranger retirements. You would think the Heat would just want to keep that number 32 in circulation, but hey, it is what it is. The name is James with this question, which was almost the question of the week. He says, is Tracy McGrady a Hall of Famer? The only reason I didn't make it the question of the week is because I had a question just like this for being Wallace a couple weeks ago. So I thought it was still a good question, a good debate, but I didn't want to be too repetitive with the titles. So my answer is no, in my opinion. I don't think that his prime was long enough, and I don't think that I think his lack of team success really hurts him. And I don't know. Tracy McGrady was a very, very good player. I don't know that I would say he was a great player for a long enough period of time for me to say he's a Hall of Famer. That's just my opinion. I don't know. We'll see. David Robinson says, out of the top 10 picks in the 2015 draft, who has an opportunity / potential at NBA stardom? I think Karl-Anthony Towns, obviously. I also think D'Angelo Russell still has that opportunity, and I think Kristaps Porzingis obviously has that opportunity. I think those are the only guys that have an opportunity at stardom. I think other guys have a chance to be really good players, but those three are the only ones I'd say, hey, those guys, watch them. They could be stars. Jovan Radovanovic says, should the Bulls trade for Dwight Howard? If not, what team is the best fit for him? I would love to see the Bulls make a move for Dwight Howard. I just don't know that they'll be willing to trade everything they need to move to get him, but I would love to see the Bulls get him, even if it's for a rental situation. I think putting Dwight Howard behind alongside Pau Gasol, as long as you didn't have to trade Pau Gasol, which you may have to in order to get Dwight Howard. But if the Bulls could pull that off without getting rid of Gasol, I think Howard covers up the defensive mistakes that Gasol makes. If not the Bulls, it's really difficult to say where he should be. Boston is definitely a team that I would think about there. Houston would probably like to get some draft picks, which Boston has in surplus. So I don't know. But as far as the Bulls, I would jump up and down for that trade. Jovan also says the top 5 mentally strongest NBA superstars of all time. Well, obviously, Kobe Bryant comes to mind. Michael Jordan definitely comes to mind. LeBron James comes to mind for sure for me. And one of the reasons I say that is because how often, first and foremost, I don't think he gets enough credit for living up to the hype. Since this guy was 15 years old, he was billed as the next dude. Most people who get that type of, hype don't live up to it. And he's done that, and he's going through all types of ridicule, criticism, all this stuff. He's still the best player, the overall best player in the game. So I definitely think he deserves that love for sure. I think that John Stockton is definitely one of the most mentally tough players. Just period. That guy he was never a great athlete, and to compete at the level and to be as good as he is with the size deficiency and not overall great athleticism, those 4 for me. I don't know if I have 5, but those 4 definitely come to mind. Simon Torvey Sunland says, what is the favorite video game you've ever played? Whoa, I would have to say, I want to say it was Madden 10. I don't have just one. Madden 10, NBA 2K16, MLB The Show 14, NCAA Football 14. I would say all of those are like all in the same category for me. They all have been. And then if you want to go real old school, Baseball Stars for Nintendo was amazing. If you want to go outside of sports, Metal Gear Solid, God of War 1 and 2. Woo! Awesome games. Just Cause. Awesome games. Simon Torvey Sunderland says, are there any players in the NBA that their respective teams consider as untradeable in your opinion? LeBron's untradeable. I think Steph is absolutely untradeable. I think Anthony Davis is untradeable. I think that if the Oklahoma City Thunder knew that Kevin Durant wasn't leaving, and if they knew for a fact that he was not gonna, it was no possibility he would leave, I think he'd be untradeable. I'd say those would be the only guys, though. Sergey says, the best dunk contest ever. We got a few dunk contest questions because of the awesome dunk contest we just saw this past week, and that one is definitely up there. The one Dominique and Michael Jordan's head-to-head dunk contest is definitely up there too. Vince Carter's dunk contest is up there, but it's really just because of Vince Carter, which is the reason why I don't necessarily put that one on the same level as I put these, because it was Vince Carter's show. Nobody else was even in his realm. But see, the dunk contest we just saw between with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, and the one with Mike and Neek, that was a duel back and forth. So I give those two the edge, and I would say those are two best. Vince Carter's performance is still one of the best, right there with Zach LaVine and this dual performance we saw this year. But as an overall contest this year, and I don't know what year that was, 87, 88 with Mike and Neek are the best. Easton T says, who is the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors? Quite honestly, I think it's still Cleveland. I think it's Cleveland. Some people say San Antonio. I just think San Antonio doesn't have the ability. I think they're too old, and I don't think they have the ability. They don't have anybody, I think at this point, that can put pressure on Stephen Curry on the defensive end. I don't think Tony Parker can do that anymore. I know that Kyrie Irving can do that healthy. I know that they have no one to match up with LeBron on a consistent basis, especially if he has the outlets to pass to guys like Kyrie and Kevin Love. So in a 7-game series, I still think Cleveland is the biggest threat. Jerry Young says, what do you think your score would be if you did the three-point contest? That's funny. See, I don't play as much as I used to, but I can shoot the ball. I can still shoot the ball. I can always shoot. When I played all the time, probably about a 15. Now, probably about a 10. Maybe I'll do a video of me doing the three-point shootout. That might be pretty cool. And let's see. Here we go with one of the dunk contest questions I was talking about. Simon Torrey Sunderland says, how does this dunk rank among the best of all time? Man, I'm going to tell you. I mean, the dunk contest is over 30 years old. I have never seen a dunk like that in my life. I mean, if you just consider everything that he did here, not only did he jump over a mascot on a hoverboard, okay, grab the ball out of his hands, right? Not only did he throw it under one leg, he threw it under two legs in a pike-like position, and he dunked the ball with his left hand. Are you serious? I mean, it's a top 3 dunk of all time. In my personal opinion, it is a top 3 dunk of all time. I mean, if you consider that we're talking about a contest that's over 30 years old, and we're looking at a guy doing something that we never seen, that's nuts. That's really nuts. And I do believe he deserved to win. Dominic says, who do you think are the top NBA ball handlers in the history of the league? I had to write this down, Dominic. Let me get my list. I got number 1, I got Tim Hardaway. Well, let me start at number 10. I gave it away, but Tim Hardaway is number 1. Number 10 is Allen Iverson. Number 9 would be Steph Curry. Number 8 was Mo Cheeks. Look him up. Sick with the handles. 7 would be Kyrie Irving. I put Kenny Anderson in there at 6. Number 5 would be Jason Williams. White chocolate. Whoo. Number 4 would be Michael Ray Richardson. If you don't know, you better ask somebody about Sugar Ray. Number 3 would be Tiny Archibald. Number 2 would be Isaiah Thomas. And like I said, number 1 would be Tim Hardaway. Nobody's handles were like Tim Hardaway's, in my opinion. Jared Young says, who would win a fight between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Gennady Golovkin? That's an interesting situation. I think it's really unfair to Floyd because, man, Floyd started his career like 128 pounds, man. He went all the way up. Was it 128, 130? Maybe it was. Went all the way up to win a title at 154. But the onus seems to be on Floyd to continue to go up in weight to find challenges. This is a small-framed guy that now people are asking to go up to 160 to fight Golovkin. So I don't even know if it's fair to say, to even talk about that fight, me personally. And I don't know, man. All things considered level, I think Floyd is the more skilled fighter, but Golovkin is such a hard puncher, you just don't know the situation. But I don't even know that Floyd should ever be in a ring with Golovkin. Just me, I don't think so. But whatever. Jared Young says, should the Clippers trade Blake Griffin? No, the Clippers should not trade Blake Griffin. The Clippers should trade Chris Paul. Chris Paul is going to be 31 years old in May. He's still playing at an elite level, but if we're talking about who has the highest ceiling or the most upside remaining between him and Blake, come on, just think about it. I think Chris Paul's the guy that, if they don't win the championship this season, which odds are that they aren't, I'm trading Chris Paul. Last but not least, David Robinson, the Admiral, I salute you, says, at the end of Dwight Howard's career, will he be looked at as one of the best to ever play, or just a really good player? I think he's just going to be looked at as a really good player, and I think that's accurate. But I do think that he is one of the most underrated players of his era. He does not get enough credit for what he does defensively and as a rebounder. Offensively, yes, his game is not as nearly as what it should. Maybe some people believe it should have been. But he's underrated. But he's not one of the best to ever play the game. I appreciate you watching. God bless. Peace.